What's cracking, everybody? Aaron Maggie Felrose here, and I'm going to use my psychic powers to make you smile. You're so gosh darn adorable. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about my top teams for the Psychic Cup Great League Edition. I can read her mind, but I can't speak. It's just part of the deal. So this is a very unchanged meta for the most part since last time we had it, with one exception, two major exceptions, right? We're gonna have Bruxish in the meta as long as they don't ban it. As of this recording, Niantic has not banned it. It has Bite, it has Psychic Fang, it has Aqua Tail, and it has Crunch. So it's going to be all over the place. So you should expect it. And the other new thing here is that these slow Bros and Slow Kings, both forms, are going to have Surf by the time this meta rolls around, or at least halfway through the meta, because it happens this coming weekend where the Psychic Cup will be about halfway through. So be aware of that. If you're playing past the weekend, the community day, those will be there. And for the most part, everything is still really relatively the same. So this first team that we've got here, I want to talk about because I feel like this is going to be a super strong team. We're going to have Bruxish on the lead, right? And you're going to have the Psychic Fangs. Now, you could run Water Gun on Bruxish if you want, if you see like a lot of Victini and you want to be very specific with the stab damage. But I think that Bite has just more overall utility in a meta full of Psychic types. So it makes more sense to me to run that. But if you run Water Gun, I would probably ditch the Psychic Fangs and go for Crunch. Now, that being said, we're playing Bruxish with double Fairy because we're going to centralize this team around Victini, which Victini is, strong against the Fairies, and Bruxish just dominates Victini because of that. Just typing and damage, it just resists everything. So, come back here, you. So we're going to have a Rapidash safe swap, and Rapidash as a safe swap with Fairy when it gets ahead on energy, and it can threaten so many things even with just the body slam. But we carry Megahorn in this meta as their nuke of choice, because Megahorn just hits everything for super effective or neutral in this meta because it's, again, all psychics. And if there's something that does resist the Megahorn, it's still going to hurt because Rapidash is extremely attack weighted. I love the pony so much. Core breakers may include things of the sort. Maybe you'll see Wobbuffet and Cresselia. Those are going to be a little bit tough for this team to handle just because the bulk of Cress and the bulk of Wobbuffet make it difficult for Gardevoir to go through these. But Gardevoir as a shadow here, really kind of meant to tear through things with 2 shields. So that's kind of what the aim is here, is to use Rapidash to leverage switch or grab shields off the opponent. Use Bruxish just to be a complete disruption to the opponent. And then let Gardevoir sweep with 2 shields once the main counter... Yeah, once the main counter to your fairies are gone, which is typically going to be the form of a Victini or a Claydol, not a Claydol, a Victini, or it could be a Slowbro, Galarian Slowbro, or Slowking, or it might be Bronzong. I was looking for Bronzong. That's the name I was looking for. So, thankfully, though, this team has amazing coverage on the meta. Like, between Bruxish and Galarian Rapidash, I feel like those two have a very strong core together, so you're not going to do very, very badly with having them on your team. So, let's take a look at the next team before Maggie falls over out of just sheer weirdness. You're so weird. This is a team that you're probably very familiar with from last season, our last rotation of the Cup. This is a Malamar with 2 anti-fairy options in the back. So Malamar having access typically to Hyper Beam and Foul Play in this meta. We don't usually run Superpower because it doesn't really do much. And then you're going to have Victini being that quick attack and double fire nukes. And then Bronzong is usually going to be the safe swap on the team, but you could probably safe swap either one, honestly. You really couldn't do much worse than that. And then it also helps to bait out the Claydol and slow Pokemon that you can just Foul Play away with Malamar. Now, there is something to note about Malamar in this meta, and I believe Swag Tips detailed it quite nicely last time we had the Cup, is if you have a Research IV Malamar, you can win CMP over Victini, which is really huge for that matchup. Otherwise, Bronzong has Feint Attack in this meta for the Dark type. Fast move, just like Bruxish does. And it runs Payback Heavy Slam, so it does take a little while to get to those charge moves, but they do hurt, so no matter what move it's throwing, you have to respect it. And Heavy Slam is just a really strong nuke for the fairies. So any core breakers in this team, you might consider Victini a core breaker if you want to. But if you have a Victini, or if you have a Malamar that wins CMP on the Victini, you're actually looking at the exact opposite situation here where it's good. And then other than that, like, this team covers the meta so well. Metacham, okay, who's running Metacham? If there's someone running Metacham in this meta, we need to have a discussion, because that is not the place to run Metacham. But other than that, look at the coverage on this meta. It's phenomenal. And I did omit the typical shadows. I mean, yeah, some shadows are going to be here, but there's really not going to be. So, all right. So the next team up we've got is going to be a Rapidash lead with a Victini in the back and a Alolan Raichu on the safe swap. Now, this is a team I believe I ran last time it was out, so go check my Alolan Raichu Psychic Cup team video from a couple seasons ago if you want to know how that team functions. But essentially, do you want to get down? I'll let you down. It's fine with me. Typically, the team functions with the core of Rapidash and Victini, which is extremely strong. And then Raichu is literally there in the back to grab both shields from the opponent before going down. And then whatever HP the opponent's got left gets farmed down. And this team just functions so well. I played it with so much success last time this cup was in. So I can highly, highly, highly recommend this team. You do have to be very careful about the Bronzong and Claydol. I do use Grass Knot on my Raichu here because of the Claydol. If I bait one out, I want to use Grass Knot. I can actually just about grab Switch with Grass Knot if the opponent doesn't shield it. And if I don't remember if it KOs or not, but if it doesn't KO, it's very close. But it also can force a shield off the opponent if they are expecting it, which is also nice. So coverages on this meta, like I said, you're typically going to just safe swap Alolan Raichu into anything that's not a really good lead for the Rapidash. So if like you grab a Malamar lead, great. This team actually functions worse when it wins lead, surprisingly, because the opponent can safe swap in, you know, Victini, or they safe swap in a, you know, something that isn't, you know, basically the two Pokemon in the back just really need to be ahead on energy in order to be good safe swaps. So if you counter swap Alolan Raichu, like, you might be the one giving up your shields, and at that point you may have already lost the game, depending on how much you need switch advantage. But for the most part, you know, like I said, this team is extremely strong. I'm not going to trust the Sims too much on Raichu, because a lot of the times what ends up happening is you just double wild charge and get both shields and you go down. So that's kind of the role of Raichu here. So we're going to just kind of leave it at that and go into the next team and talk about what could be, after Community Day, this team coming into the meta. Bruxish with Bite and the moveset we mentioned earlier, and both of the Galarian slows with Surf. Now, in this particular team comp, I've got Bro running the Sludge Bomb, and Slowking is running Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is a given. It's a Psychic Cup. You have to run with Psychic, or with Shadow Ball. But the Sludge Bomb, I mean, I think that that's probably the most sensible move, because you're not running Focus Blast in this meta, and you're probably not running Psychic. So Surf and Sludge Bomb just seem to make the most sense here, and what we're looking for is a duality around not so much Victini and things, but this one specifically is going to be around things like Bronzong and Claydol. Because the Galarians are part poison, I do believe. So the Claydol and the Claydol specifically, but also the Bronzong can be a problem. So I put Bruxish in the lead here to try and mitigate that weakness in the lead. So if you use one to bait out, I would probably use the Slowking to bait out, because it has the Hex with the Surf and the Shadow Ball. Very easy opportunity to grab shields and switch with that Pokemon, because of how quickly the Hex can charge up to the Surf and Shadow Ball. And you could probably run Slow Bro if you want. You can if you want to. I feel like Slow Pro, I just put the slows here as a meme, honestly, but you could run them together, or you could run Kanto Slowbro with Water Gun, and with I mean, honestly, you could do either one. I think that the real core here is going to be Slowking and Bruxish, and you could fit a third in the middle, whatever you want, to be honest. I think that's kind of how you can go about this. But as far as core breakers go here, you know, you've got Malamar, which is kind of a pain to deal with. It does you can handle pretty okay because of the poison jab damage coming off of Slowbro. But other than that, I mean, the team is pretty solid as far as coverages go. There's not a whole lot of other core breakers in the meta except for Bruxish itself. That could be a bit of a problem for you. So like I said, if you wanted to fit something else on the team other than Galarian Slowbro, I don't mind it. I just they're here from the community day. I'm just making them known. And last but not least, speaking of the community day, we've got a team with Shadow Slowbro. I can't speak. And then we're going to also have Claydol and Malamar. Now, again, here we have Slowbro and Claydol going to be the core here, and then Malamar is the safe swap. You could probably sub Malamar for just about anything. We're just keeping a duality around Victini. So once again, with this Malamar, if you're going to have one that has Research IVs, you probably win CMP over Victini, so you'd be safe to run that on the safe swap, I think. Otherwise, you know, you could put anything out there that might bait out Victini, or you could just put this whole team. Like, this whole team was meant to hate on Victini. So if you wanted to, you could put something else in the back that beats Victini. I think that you'd be fine either way. Now, the thing is that this team will struggle a bit against opposing Galarian Rapidash in the simulation shielding scenarios. Because I think most of these, the Galarian Rapidash does end up either doing enough damage with Body Slam or with the Mega Horn in order to KO in the sims. So just be mindful of that if you do run into one. Like I said, maybe you swap out, maybe throw Claydol in the lead, put Slowbro in the back, and you could fit a better safe swap against the Galarian Rapidash in the back while still being able to beat the Victini. I certainly wouldn't mind that either. I think that would be a better duality versus the Victini and Galarian Rapidash in that way. But also just, you know, there's definitely some more core breakers to this team. This is definitely a more centralized around we hate Victini team. I love Victini, by the way. I can't play Victini in this meta because I upgraded mine to Ultra League for Justicar, so rip me until we get another one. So y'all have fun with your Victinis. I'm just gonna sit here and cry. But that's gonna do it for the top teams that I've got for the Psychic Cup, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this video. And again, if you want to catch these meta teams and analysis and basically everything else before it hits YouTube, you can check out my Patreon in the link in the description. There is I believe no less than $5 a month. You can get access to my Discord, which is literally everything, my entire brain dump of everything about this game. And you can also freely ping me and ask me questions and get help with everything. And then I also have coaching in the description on Metafy. If you're interested in taking your game to the next level, you can book me for a session on Metafy and find out just how good you can get from a session with myself. But anyway, enough of that. You all have an interesting and wonderful time with the Psychic Cup. This is probably one of the better limited metas we've had. And I will catch you all in the next video. Let me know how your Psychic Cup is going in the comments. Thanks. Bye-bye. There's a stop button. There it is.